Love Lies Bleeding is directed by Rose Glass, stars Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien, and if you think you know what this movie's about, no the fuck you don't. This review might be a bit on the shorter side because I really don't have a lot to say about most of this movie. In the best way possible, it's just really well made. It's very well shot. I like the way that it makes use of color and different filters to convey the tone and setting. I just love the overall aesthetic of this film. The production design, the costume design, the hairstyling. Ed Harris and Dave Franco both have mullets. It all just really immerses you into this era. There are also some outstanding prosthetic makeup jobs that are super effective. The performances are also terrific across the board. The stressed, anxious characters are very anxious. The scary characters are very menacing, the sleazy characters are really gross. I think the standouts here are Kristen Stewart and Katie O'Brien, but everyone's doing a fantastic job and nobody really stood out in a bad way for me. So yeah, not a lot to say or complain about here. I do, however, want to talk about the script a bit. Spoiler free, of course, we're always spoiler free here. But before I talk about the script, I want to talk about the trailer because in my opinion, it's a perfect trailer. It's very effective at communicating the overall vibe of the movie without giving you any information about what the movie's actually about. And like I said earlier, you definitely have no idea what this movie is about. There's essentially 4 or 5 major characters in this movie, and the opening sequences kind of drip feed you important information about these characters, and then it drip feeds you important information about the dynamics between them and their relationships. Sometimes the information it gives you is very blatant and deliberate, like here's what you need to know about these characters right now, and sometimes the information's more subtle and you don't realize why it's important until later on. This setup isn't the most efficient thing in the world, but it's not very long, and I do think it works well for this movie, because once this info dump is completed, this movie takes off. And it is fucking bonkers. I don't remember the last movie I've seen that goes 0 to 100 this quickly. It's really just like, okay, here's the characters, here's how they know each other, here's how they feel about each other, let's go. As the story unravels, we gain more information about these characters' pasts, and if the exposition was all about showing how the characters feel about each other, the second act is about why they feel this way about each other. Unlike the first act, this information's woven into the narrative really well. None of the information you gain interrupts the story at all. There are some moments where the story slows down and gives you a chance to breathe, which I appreciated, but even these moments are so tense because you don't know when the movie's going to take off again. There are, however, some creative decisions that just didn't work for me. It's really just 2 moments, so it's not that prevalent at all, but this movie has a couple of sharp tonal shifts that really took me out of the movie. Because in these moments, I feel like the film went for more shock and confusion over keeping the narrative compelling. Without spoiling anything, I'll just say that these moments were at the beginning of the 3rd act and the end of the 3rd act. And it's frustrating because I really wanted this movie to stick the landing, and it just didn't for me. I'm sure some people will love the direction it goes, but it just didn't hit the way I wanted it to. But everything before and between those moments, I was just in my seat like, damn, this movie kind of rips. So I do think this movie's really strong and well made and worth seeing. I'm just mildly annoyed because this movie was like 1 decision away from being a 4-star movie instead of 3.5. If you've seen Love Lies Bleeding, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments, and as always, thank you for watching.